Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the live stream on Saturday mornings here. At least it's morning for me. It's 11 a.m. Um, Welcome in, Mike. Thank you for stopping in. Hope the weather clears up for you. You get some power back there. Good morning, Carl. Hi, Yuri. I'm doing pretty good. Yourself? So last week we did some PowerShell Universal. Oh, let me actually just change the scene here because you guys can't actually see me. Let's just, all right, there we go. All right, so last week we did some PowerShell Universal. So we're actually going to keep working on our PowerShell Universal application today. So last week we managed to do quite a few of our functions. Yeah, we're supposed to get a snowstorm here, I think tonight. Right now it's extremely windy. So I know in the past, in the windstorms here, we have missed power the odd time. So if you do see the stream go offline, it might be because I'm out of power. So I do apologize in advance if that happens. But I think we should be good today. I'm from Winnipeg, just wrote an exam and watched a lot of your tutorials. Yeah, no worries, Austin. I hope you did well on your exam. I think you probably crushed it. Thank you for watching like a bunch of my tutorials. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate like all the support from the community. I really enjoy being able to help people learn. So last week, this is what we started kind of working on. We were able to do quite a lot of the functions. Today we have to do the unlock account, disable account, um, and enable account. I don't know why I wrote enabled account, probably because of this here. But we're gonna put the enable here. So let's go ahead and let's see what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go to our PowerShell Universal window here in our API, in our endpoints. So we have a bunch of endpoints, so let's go ahead and let's create a new endpoint here, which is going to be for the unlock account here. So let's go create endpoint. We're going to go unlock account, and then if I remember correctly, it was just a slash and then colon username here that we had to pass in. And it's gonna be we're gonna make that a post here because we're not just getting information, we are like updating it. Yeah, I think post would be the right one to use here. Yeah, we can go ahead and just do that. Let's click on OK. And let's go ahead and let's write our script for the unlock account. So what I like doing here, if you guys weren't here last week, is I usually actually write all of my functions just in this Visual Studio code window, so we can actually test it, make sure it actually works in Visual Studio Code before we go ahead and put it in PowerShell Universal, since there are a few little quirks with PowerShell Universal with like permissions maybe for accounts or anything like that. So I kind of like testing it out in Visual Studio Code first. So let's go ahead and let's say that this is going to be for unlock accounts. And let's go ahead and let's do this here. So unlock account, so that would just be, if we do, I think there's actually a commandlet for that. Unlock AD account. And all we need to do is the identity, the username, and then we just need to do a confirm. We can make that to false so we don't have any prompts. And then there should be a server option here, I would imagine. There usually is. Maybe it's going to be before the confirm. Sometimes when you put confirm, I find sometimes it kind of removes some of the other options to like preload in there. So let's go say put that to jacked.ca here, and then we're going to go confirm. We're going to make that to false. All right, so once we actually have this, we can go ahead and we can actually test it out. So let me just connect to my, see if we can do get AD user filter star server. And let's just see if we have any locked accounts here. I actually don't know if I have one currently locked. If we don't, we're just going to lock one up real quick. So locked out. So there is one. So let's just pipe that to where locked out is equal to true. And we're going to see what users are actually locked out. So we can actually test our unlock user. So it's test employee 3 right now. That's currently locked out. So that's great. So let's go ahead and let's test it out. Let's test it out in our AD. Let's actually test it out here first. So test employee 3. And let's hit unlock account here. All right, and let's see if we have a locked account. So there is no more locked account, so that's actually great. So let's go ahead and let's just relock the account here. All we need to do is do this. No more options, run as different user, and let's lock out the account here. Test employee 3. Employee 3. Oh, and the account has actually expired here, so let's go ahead and let's just fix that here. That will not work if we have an expired account. So let's just do the set AD user account expiration time. And we're just going to set that to a get date, add days, add 100 days to today. This way we know for sure it won't be locked out at all. And let's test it out here. All right, perfect. It's just giving me incorrect password, so let's just keep locking it out. All right, perfect. It is now locked, so we can go ahead and we can actually put this into our PS Universal here. So let's go back out here. Let's modify our route and modify the script here. All right, so what we can do is we can actually go ahead, put this in here. We got to make sure that we change this to our variable, which is username. And then what I actually want to do, because right now this commandlet doesn't really give any confirmation that the account's been unlocked. So what I actually want to do is go ahead, get our user afterwards. So get AD user. Identity is going to be username. And then we're going to look up properties, and we're just going to get the locked out property. That's all we really need. We're going to get that on our server here. And let's go ahead and we're going to return an object. Let's just go ahead and let's say it's result equals, and we actually have kind of pre-made ones here. So we don't actually have to figure it out. So let's copy paste this here. And let's go back to our PowerShell Universal, put that in there. We're just going to say locked out is equal to user dot lockout. And we are just going to go ahead and we're just going to put username as well, just so they know. And we're going to do a return results. All right, perfect. So that is going to work. So what we can actually do is we can test it on employee one, because employee one is not locked out. And that should actually work. We should actually get back username. Let's do. I think that should actually work. Let's go ahead and let's just test it out here. Go ahead and bring all of that back out here. Put that in here. We're just going to set up our username as employee1. And we're just going to test it out just to see what it gives us back. Perfect. So it does actually give us back a result here. So that is perfect. So I think that should actually work in our favor now. Let's go ahead. Let's save this. And now let's do employee1. Run that. And we should get our result. Perfect. So employee1, the locked out is false. So we know that the account is not locked out. And now what we can actually do is go ahead. We can actually copy our PowerShell command here. No, actually, let's do this. Let's go here. And let's go here, here, and we can actually just do this. Say selected user here. So enter username to pick. We're going to put in test employee 3. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to unlock the account. And it is no longer locked out. That is actually perfect. That's what we want. That's what we wanted to see here. So that is awesome. Perfect. So we've actually done our unlock account. So now the only ones that we have left are disable account and enable account. So these are actually a little bit easier to do, to test, because we don't actually have to like lock out an account or anything like that. So let's just copy this actually for unlock. These are all going to be pretty similar. So this is going to be disable account. So for disable account, the main things that we really need to do is going to be set AD user. Identity is going to be the username again. And enabled is going to be false because we want to disable it. The server is going to be JackedPA. And we want to make sure that always our confirm is set to false, so we don't get any prompts. And let's go ahead and we're once again going to send back an object just to make sure that the person knows that the account is going to be locked out now. So we're going to get our user and we're just going to show that it is, this doesn't need to be locked out anymore. This needs to be enabled and enabled here. So that's perfect. So if we run it on employee 1, we get enabled. We get it now set to false. So this is actually perfect. So all we actually need to do is copy this whole section here, go back into our PowerShell Universal, go back out here, create our new endpoint. We're just going to say disable account / username here. And once again, we're going to change this to a post. Remove the authentication because we don't have that because we're not licensed. Just going to click OK. And that should actually be good. So let's go ahead. Let's look at the script here. Paste it in. Looks like it's the right one. Hit save. And let's go ahead and let's just copy this here. Let's test it once again with our selected user here. Paste this into the route. And our test employee 3 is now disabled. So that's actually perfect. So now let's go ahead and let's do our final one, which is just enable. It's going to be very easy. We can just copy paste this entire thing once again. Enable, change this to true, and the rest doesn't actually change at all. So that's actually perfect. We can go ahead, copy this, and we can go ahead and we can actually paste it into our endpoint here. We're just going to create a new one. Enable account / username. Change that to a post. These get eventually very, very easy to create. Oh, that's the test one. Here. These get very, very easy to create, I find, after a while, because you're going to be doing very similar things. Your routes are going to be just doing slightly different things. You should be really like focusing on doing it. I mean, you could have a route that does multiple different things based on whatever body you pass into it. And that could definitely work as well. But if you just want to make something very, very simple, keep the routes to just like one simple function or like feature. And it makes coding them very, very easy, and it makes debugging a whole lot easier, I find. So yeah, so that's it here. So let's go ahead. Once again, just copy this route here. Go back into our testing area. And let's just copy this here. And we're just going to re-enable test employee 3. And it is now enabled just like that. So all of our routes for our application is done. So now we can actually go ahead and look at building our application in PowerShell Universal. So this is once again something I've never really done so far, because last week was my first time in PowerShell Universal, and this is actually my second time. So I haven't done anything more in PowerShell Universal since the last live stream. I want to do the entire learning process on the live stream with you guys. Just once again, you guys get to see like my learning process of something new. And also we get to kind of learn together and figure it out just by clicking through it, looking at the documentation together, and doing all that fun stuff together. So let's go into user interfaces here, because we have pages and dashboards. So I think we should go to pages. I think pages is what we really want to do, because it says simple drag and drop web pages that execute PowerShell and REST API. So I think that's really what we want. So if we create a new page, let's name this test here. If not specified, the name is the URL. That's fine. We don't need it authenticated here. Let's go ahead. Let's do that. And we do edit properties, there's nothing there. Okay, so if we do view here, okay, so test. Okay, so that just kind of seems to basically run, I think because it has the same name as our route here. So let's just say test app here. Let's do that instead. That should come up as blank perfect because this is actually already an API route that we created. We can actually go ahead and delete that one because we shouldn't have one named test. But we do, it's right here. So let's go ahead. Let's just remove that one. All right. And let's go ahead and let's hit edit here. So I wonder what type of things we could put. So we could put variables. So variables require a license. So that might actually set us back from being able to use this. There's pie charts and stuff, and there's properties. So yeah, we might not actually be able to use this. I don't really know because we can't use any type of variables or anything like that. All right, so I don't know if we can actually use this or not, because it seems like the only thing we can really add is like bars and stuff, like graphs. Which I was really hoping to be able to add like text boxes, those types of things. PowerShell Universal pages. Hoping to see that there's going to be something that we can actually here they seem to have components. Adding components. Examples. Okay, so maybe we have to create all of these within code. That might be a thing. So let's go ahead and let's just run. Let's copy this. Let's see if what this will even do. So let's go, let's name this app creator .ps1. Let's just paste that in here for now, and let's just see if we can recreate this app. Okay, so having some issues there. So we might have to import it, I would assume. Go import PSU import module PSU server. Okay, so that does not actually work. Maybe we need to. Oh, let's install the module first, because I only installed it from the MSI. So I don't think that installs the module properly. Go ahead and just install the module here. Say yes to all. As soon as it's done installing, we can go ahead and we can try to see if we create our app this way. Go ahead, let's hit. This on parameter theme. We don't have a theme. All right. Let's look to see if we can find anything else here. Just go ahead. Let's try to create this simple one. I think that might be a better option here, just to limit. So we're always getting the theme error here. I wonder what themes are available. Themes. Let's do that. Let's create that up here. And then let's pass it in here. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so that seems to have worked. Let's go up here. Let's hit cancel here. Go back into our PowerShell. to... So I don't actually see the app in here at all. Don't see it in here. Adding a component. See, it seems like they have a lot more options in their toolbox compared to me. I don't know if seems like this should have a bunch of different options. Button. Yeah, I'm not too sure on why I don't see the other options here. Dashboards, and the dashboards, I'm assuming this is a dashboard. Let's try generating. Like, is there like any type of interaction that we can have with a dashboard? It looks like we can. This one is a clock. Let's try to do this one. See if this works. Otherwise, we might be stuck making this in Visual Studio Code. But I'd really, really like to make this in all in PowerShell Universal. I think that would be really cool. Okay, so that's good. So let's back in here. Let's refresh our dashboards. Because that's what we should have created. We should have created a dashboard. Unless we need to like connect, and they aren't saying that we need to connect. Doesn't seem like there's anything for dashboard here. So show command. Let's do get command module universal. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Thank you, Eduardo. Welcome in. Welcome in. So let's just see if we can get anything here that could potentially help us create our app in PowerShell Universal. Again, I'm just not 100% sure on if it is something that's even really doable. Well, let's see if we can get a dashboard. Get PSU dashboard. What does that give us? Okay, so there is a connect PSU server. Okay, that could actually be already where our problem is. So localhost 5000. Hopefully it's going to prompt me for the username or password. It does not. App token. Get PSU app token. Post. There's nowhere that says, there's no parameter to pass in credentials here. We can use default credentials, but we actually changed the default credentials. Let's look up the connect PSU server. So connect dash PSU server. Create an app token in the admin dashboard. Okay, yeah, so I think okay, perfect. So we can go ahead in here, you're saying, and then dashboard. So I'm going to assume it's going to be either an identities or authentication. Identities, maybe, or oh, tokens right here. It was very visible. I just completely missed it. So let's do the admin administrator. That never expires here. Okay. We're going to copy that. And I'm going to assume that this is like an actual, just like full-blown, like, yeah, it's like a actual full-blown token here. Token equals, I'm going to assume we need to put these in double quotes. token. Perfect. Hey, thank you very much, MF. I appreciate that. Probably would have struggled for a good few more, like 5 or 10 minutes. I feel like we were on the right track, but that simplifies things a lot. And that's kind of why it's really helpful to work in groups, I find, especially. So let's just go ahead. Let's try to create this new dashboard now. I'm assuming that that's all I need to do. Let's go to dashboards. Okay, so still no dashboards here. That's fine. Because it might just be something that I'm missing here. If we go here, is there any type of no session or anything? We'll just cut that out here. Paste that. Maybe we need to wonder if there is a new UDD dashboard. Is there a computer name parameter? Do a get help on new UDD dashboard. See what that tells us. So I'm a little confused here because when I run this, we do get something back, but we don't get anything in our dashboard. We don't get anything in our apps either. Let's see if we can welcome in. To you science, welcome in, welcome in. Let's try to just do this here. This seems to be like the most simplest version of an app here. So once again, it needs us to specify a theme, which that we have. But we're still not seeing any any new pages in here at all. These are templates. Our developers are yours, subscribers. We enjoy your knowledge. Share, keep going. Perfect. Thank you, to you science. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching my videos and enjoying the tutorials. That's definitely why I put them out there, is like hopefully I could share as much knowledge as I possibly can. And then these live streams are just kind of like me like showing my process of like learning some new things and showing like the struggles that are like very normal to go through when learning something new, especially in coding. Sometimes it is a little weird at times. So I wonder if that's do this instead. Once again, this kind of seems yeah. Just don't think that this is actually how this is supposed to work. I'm starting to have some doubts on the way we're going about creating these pages at this point. And one of the main things that I'm kind of concerned about at this point is just when we go to make our application, our toolbox is very, oh, we can actually click these. I see. Okay. So I was just not realizing that we can actually click on other things here. Okay, so let's actually delete this. Let's go back into our test app here. Let's go into edit. Let's go into toolbox. Data display. We can actually put in a lot of things. We can actually have some input here. We can have forms. This is what we wanted to figure out. Okay, perfect. All right. So what we actually want to do is let's do a form here. we're just gonna shrink that down a little bit. We're gonna title that to our search here. We're gonna get back a table. Search for users. Show output. We definitely want to show the output here. API. Not what we want to do. We want to be able to get our user, not necessarily if I do text box, if I do a username, it's definitely required. Why aren't the other? Maybe because that is a get. So maybe I need to put these as like posts. Because it's a form, maybe that's why we're not able to. Data source is going to be API. I'm going to get a list of users. The only thing that doesn't really work with what we want. We'll disable account. Let's see what we can do with that. Just for now. Add fields. Add username. Type is going to be text box. That we don't need a second field. Just do test employee 3. Plus return true or false. So I don't think that we can use that. Go button here instead. We would have to figure out a way to be able to do that dynamically, because otherwise, so it's actually failing still. So let's actually just go back here, go into user interfaces, create a new page. Let's actually delete this one. Create a new page. Name it application. So toolbox. Display. Let's display the table. I think that on its own, like we should be able to display our API list usernames. I wish we could pass in like specific. We have a lot more customizability with the buttons and what they do. And I mean, we don't have the ability for variables. Jack, thank you for the kind words, Toledo. I really appreciate that. I hope you've been enjoying like the PS Write HTML series. I honestly had a lot of fun making it, so I'm glad that you were able to create a lot of HTML reports. I really enjoy making HTML reports with PowerShell. I find it quite cool. Um, I really wish, um, really wish this had much more customizability here. Because we might be stuck doing this in Visual Studio Code, which is not really what I wanted to do. I mean, it's not the end of the world. But I was really hoping uh, I was really hoping to be able to kind of username type is going to be text box. Target, it's going to run on API. It's going to be disable account. Have the username. I wonder if it's case sensitive. That might be. Test employee 3. We're constantly getting errors here when trying to make it in PowerShell Universal. And I think that's going to be our greatest demise is PowerShell Universal at this point. Unfortunately. Um, I thought was going to be just like super, super cool to bring it up. It just doesn't seem like without the variables, I just feel like it's not really doable in here. Like the worst part is like when I try to do these, we're not getting any success really. Build a lot of custom components, but I'm not very strong in JavaScript right now. Um, Otherwise, I would just make a JavaScript app. I wouldn't even bother. I would just build the whole backend in PowerShell Universal and then build the whole front end with JavaScript and HTML and CSS. Even in here, I don't see this back up here. You don't get any more pages at all. Let's just try this dashboard here. So let's do test dash. Let's see what this dashboard looks at. details. Okay, so this is where, okay, so you might not be able to build it through Visual Studio Code, but this is probably where you would put the code maybe. So let's go find our examples here. Let's try to find our stopwatch. And let's go in. Let's close some of these here, just so we don't get super confused with what we're actually trying to do. We can close that. Um, and get UD page. Get UD page. Save that. View the dashboard. Okay, so we do have a that pauses it, and then we restart it by doing that. Okay. Okay, so we were able to build this clock thing now. So that is I mean, that's already a big step forward from where we were earlier. So what authentication method PowerShell Universal uses? So PowerShell Universal, the authentication is, I mean, you can have authentication with just the security, and you can create authentication, but you do need a licensed instance for it. Otherwise, you can create identities directly inside of PowerShell Universal, but any type of authentication you want with your API routes won't work unless it's licensed. Now, there are ways to kind of simulate authentication, like you can create like a secret token. You can validate the token inside your code. Now, of course, that's not super secure. If someone gets access to your PowerShell Universal API route script and sees what the token should be, they can easily crack it that way. Right now, I'm using the free version of PowerShell Universal. As you can see, it's not licensed or anything. So all the things that I'm doing right now are all you're able to do completely for free. On your own home labs as well. I've never used the paid version. It is probably something that I'm eventually going to look into, just because I think it might be kind of useful. There are a lot of neat little things that you can do. So, all right. So I wonder if we can do a. Let's see here. If we can do this. Let's do our search here. Let's do our search. let's say, let's see here. Let's actually do this. Paste this in here. So let's actually paste this up above here, actually. Then what we're going to do is on submit. So we're going to have this here. So we're just going to search for the username. This is going to be $username equals event data dot username. We're not going to have it piped to anything. We're not going to have this. But what we will have is, let's say, that we're not going to have auto refresh here. On submit, content going to be equal to this. Username, so that is going to be cut, paste into here. I think that that'll work. I don't really know yet. Data. We close this. Let's see what this looks like. Username, we're just going to do test employee brief. Thank you, Eduardo. Yeah, I honestly can't believe that we're almost at 10,000 subscribers. When I started this like 2.5 years ago, I wasn't even expecting 100, like 100 subscribers, let alone 1,000, let alone 10,000. So I'm very, very, very excited to see kind of where it goes from here. Okay, let's actually just see if let's remove this. Let's do new UD element. ID is going to be data. Content. I'm just going to put this like test right here and see what happens here. Have you tried pod.web module? I actually have not tried the pod.web module, Nelson, but I will actually keep note of it and most likely look into it in one of the other live streams. Because if it is easier, like similar to PowerShell Universal, but easier to get into, that might be honestly really useful. I do really like PowerShell Universal for like the API route creation so far. But then again, I have never looked at pod.web, so it definitely might be way better. I wonder if I can do this and just like try to pass in test here. See what happens if I do that. Nothing. Okay, so for some reason, that does not work. Let's just see what this gives us again. I wonder if it's giving us issues because it's not necessarily text, it's a table that we're getting back. I wonder if we did this. Paste that in there. Do that. Change that to users here. And then we need to so name, employee ID, and SAM account name. So name. So yeah, so name, employee ID, and SAM account. We're just going to make the same things for the titles here. Oops. Okay. So I wonder if I just save this. View our dashboard, see what comes up here. Okay, so we actually do get our data back here. So that's actually exactly what we wanted. So we're actually making some progress here. Finally, it took a little while, but we are actually getting there now. I knew this channel when our senior system architecture used Jack tutorial to explain key concepts of PowerShell GUI. Glad that everyone can watch these highest quality videos and learn from me. Thank you, 2D Science. That's actually really, really nice to hear. Yeah, I was honestly the PowerShell GUI series, I think, was one of the best series that I've personally released. Just because I don't think that a lot of people really knew what PowerShell was kind of capable of. We all knew that it was super powerful, but you needed to know how to like script and not be scared of a console. Whereas if you can do PowerShell with GUI, like create a GUI that interacts with your PowerShell scripts, you can open that up to a lot more people. Lawrence, yeah, I actually do this for work. So I am like a system or server administrator, depending on like what title you want to actually consider. So I manage a Microsoft 365 environment, Azure. So that includes Teams, also Skype, Active Directory, over like 100 Windows servers and some Linux boxes. So I use PowerShell pretty much daily to do my work. Now I've never used PowerShell Universal, so this is completely new to me. But PowerShell as its own, I actually do use it daily for work. Hopefully that actually answers your question. I hope I didn't completely mess that up there. All right. I wonder if we can do so set UD. Okay. Can we do an auto refresh on here? Okay. I wonder if we just do this, and that, if that'll work. I have no idea. Test it out. Hey, it does. That's cool. But it does erase the search bar. So we'll have to figure that out. But I wonder if we take this out, do that, if that'll work, if it'll auto refresh. It does not refresh, but I think that there might be ways to trigger a refresh of a table. I might eventually get into that, Eduardo. That is definitely something I've only done very limited of that for myself. But it definitely might be something that we do in the future. Lawrence, how do you retain all this knowledge? I have trouble sometimes looking at something I made a few weeks ago. So honestly, Lawrence, that just comes with time. And I definitely don't really retain all the info. You eventually just get really good at looking at code that you have written in the past and just kind of be able to understand what that code does. That's really what it comes down to. And also what really helps is if you name your variables something that's very good, comment your code as well. So this way, when you do go back to something that you made a few weeks ago, your comments will kind of help you guide you through what it does. But it really comes with time and just playing around with it on like a very, very daily basis. You'll eventually be able to look at code that you wrote like a year ago. You might be wondering why you did it that way a year ago, because you probably gained a lot of knowledge in that year, and you'll know ways that you can do it way better. But you'll know what it does. I find that really helps. I definitely do not. I use Google and ChatGPT quite a bit. Those are your best friends. Honestly, if you have a script that you wrote, you don't necessarily know what it does. Maybe just like Googled some of the commandlets that you used. That could really help you in knowing what it's doing. because you just can't memorize everything in programming. That would be very, very difficult to do. Um, and even like today, it seems like it's just a little frozen here. But even today, like just learning this, honestly, like doing this type of learning, like failing, keep trying the different things, and then eventually succeeding. Um, you'll learn and retain, I find, a lot better than if you were to just. Seems like I lost connection to my RDP window here. Might come back, hopefully. Yeah, there you go. I find like doing that kind of helps me retain the knowledge a lot better because I had to do it so many times and so many repetitions to get it right that it just becomes a little bit easier. Um, that's at least what I find. Um, but I mean, that is very much person to person. But I definitely wouldn't focus on memorizing. I would just more focus on like getting to learn how to read your own code and write your code in a way that you can go read it again in the future and understand it better. Um, because like I forget commandlets all the time. Like I'll know the more common ones that I use a lot, like unlock AD account and stuff like that. But sometimes I'll just do like a quick little Google search, being um, like we had to do last week, like resetting a password on an Active Directory account. All I did was reset password, PowerShell, or reset Active Directory password PowerShell. Got the commandlet right away. Was able to use that commandlet within like seconds because I've used it before. I just didn't remember the name of it. Um, that's where you'll eventually get to, I'm sure. I've been doing this just to put into perspective. I've been using PowerShell, I believe, now since roughly 2018. I want to say maybe 2017. So it's been a solid like 6 or 7 years now. At the beginning, I was very, very slow with it. I was not as fast as I am now. I struggled a lot more. I really only used the Active Directory module for the most part. I was not doing any APIs in PowerShell. I was not doing any GUIs in PowerShell. Um, so that, and I found when I was learning, it was really hard to find content for PowerShell all in one spot. I was constantly searching in the internet, finding a web page was one piece of information, find another piece on Stack Overflow, find another piece in a YouTube video, and having to put it together. Um, and I found like that was really, really hard to do. So I wanted to provide a place where you can start a project from start to end and have all the pieces you needed. PS is underestimated in the tech community from a guy that started with tech was Fortran, cannot see the limitations for PowerShell. Yeah, PowerShell is very, very powerful, especially now with PowerShell Core, because you can use it on Linux, on Mac. You're not limited to Windows machines anymore with PowerShell, whereas back in the day when PowerShell first started, it was really, really Windows only. But now you can really do almost anything with it. They're constantly adding features to it now as well. It's becoming very, very powerful. And you can even make web apps now with it, as we're seeing with PowerShell Universal. You can, as long as you know PowerShell, you can really build almost anything you really want. So I wonder if I can do set UD element ID data content data equals users. I have no idea if this is going to work. This is very much a shot in the dark here. But let's test it out. Let's see if it works. I don't think it would work. Yeah, it does not work. I didn't think it would. Give it a shot. But I think there was something here. So it's properties. And then, okay, let's do that. Let's see if that works. Properties. And add symbol here. Let's see if that changes anything. Again, I don't really think that this is going to work, but... Oh, it actually does. Okay, let's look at this. Perfect. So we've actually managed to create our search. I didn't think it was going to work, but we actually got our search working. So we can actually pull back our employees here. So let's do search here. Do we have a title? Submit text. Go search. That needs to go here. That should. All right, so let's search test. And that works. Perfect. So it's not submit. We now have search. We can have our search here. But now can we do a... I wonder if we can select something in our selection, maybe? Test. Okay, so there we go. So I wonder if I don't really want it to let us select multiples. It does let us select multiples, so I think there was an option for that. It was disable multi-select. Let's save that. Gonna refresh here. Let's do our search. Perfect. So we can actually already do that. So we have our search here. Perfect. So now let's do a on row selection. Now we can actually change some other things. So now let's actually just do a new UD table. ID is going to be info columns. And let's go ahead and let's just see what our so get user. We have a lot of things here that we need to get back. So let's just select all of these. And just put that here. Your way to explain hard concepts is impressive, makes look easy. Have you been trained as an instructor or related? So to use science, I have actually never been trained as an instructor or a teacher. I have been told by multiple people that I should look into it. I just really enjoy this topic. Um, and I explain it in a way that I wish someone would have explained it to me. That's kind of how I do all of my videos is basically is like how would I have liked to learn it if I didn't know anything about it? So I don't like to kind of overcomplicate things in my videos, and I give a lot of examples and a lot of like real life examples that if you're a server administrator or a system administrator, that you'd be able to like understand and put into your own like ideas and put your own like scenarios into it. Because I find like that honestly makes learning a lot easier than trying to explain the theory without any examples. I learn from doing and from examples. So that's kind of how um, I teach. And like growing up, I struggled a lot in school until like grade 10 or grade 11. Um, and then my grades went from 60s to high 90s, purely based on a teacher change. Um, so like I very well know that like the teacher that you get could highly influence how well you do and how well you learn. Um, but I've never been trained, and I do appreciate those kind words. Like I'm really really happy that I'm able to actually be able to explain those concepts to you guys. You guys actually understand them, and you guys think it's actually easier. Because that's my goal. Um, but it's very hard to honestly know sometimes if that is actually working. So I'm very, very glad. Do you have any experience with using PowerShell to manipulate running applications? That's been something I wish I was able to do. Now when you mean running applications, do you mean like something that's running right now and you'd want to like update something in it? Like there would be ways to do it, especially if that application has API routes. You'd be able to do that very easily. Or if it's an application that's mostly running off of a database, you could manipulate the database and manipulate that application. That could definitely be possible. Um, there's also a lot of modules if you're wanting to maybe manipulate like a web browser that's currently operating. There's also a um, I believe, I'm not 100% positive on this, but let me just Google it real quick. Selenium for desktop application. Um, I think that there is a I know that there is a some sort of uh, tool that lets you automate desktop applications. But if it's a web app, like a running web app that you're wanting to do, Selenium would be great for that. Um, there would also be Appium. Maybe that's what I was thinking. So I remember something close to Selenium. So it could be Appium. I don't know if they have. Um, I mean, you can definitely use Appium because you can use Selenium with PowerShell, and you're just using the C# module for it. So auto hotkey too. Yeah, so there are a lot of different tools that you can use with PowerShell. You're going to be using a separate module or like a separate service, but you would use PowerShell as kind of like your code to like the actual automation. Um, oh, While watching your tutorial, my peer told this guy can explain 1 hour, 1 semester of script class from university. Yeah, honestly, like a lot of um, like this is not putting down universities or anything like that, but a lot of the learning that you'll do is a lot of theory, which takes a. It's very good to have. Like I do have theory knowledge on programming. I did go to university for computer science. I never finished my degree. I ended up dropping out for financial reasons. After 2.5 years, I wasn't able to finish the 4 year degree. Um, and I learned a lot during that time. But that being said, these days with programming, there's a bunch of boot camps out there. And even if you can't afford a boot camp or a university, the amount of resources online that you can use, either my videos, um, or the other YouTubers out there, the other Twitch streamers out there that stream like game design, JavaScript. Myself, I do PowerShell. Um, there is a big creator out there for almost any language that you really want to learn. Um, and almost every single one of them will cover like the basics of programming. Like in my tutorials, when we go over like the PowerShell for Beginner series, um, I go over pretty much all like the theories of computer science with like if statements, like the conditional statements, error checking with the try catch statements, creating functions, creating objects. So you have your object oriented programming. The only thing that we really don't do in PowerShell is like recursion. But I mean, there's a bunch of places that you can learn recursion in as well. So I find like a lot of resources these days, like you can easily learn something that you would take you about 3 or 4 months in university to learn. You can honestly learn these days in a few hours. Maybe you won't have as much as an in-depth knowledge as you would in university because the university kind of like drill it into you. You have an exam to kind of practice your knowledge, but you could easily memorize for that exam and not really learn. Um, but I'm glad that you guys are really enjoying my videos. It seems like a lot of the people at your work really enjoy it, so I'm very, very glad the videos will keep coming. Uh, so hopefully you guys will be able to benefit from that. So we have our table here. Let's create a bunch of our columns here. So we have name. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns. I thought you were a PhD in computer science. Oh, thank you, Eduardo. Yeah, no, definitely not. Um, I wish I did. I wish I would have never really dropped out, to be honest. Um, but to be quite honest with you as well, is it hasn't really impacted my ability to get a job anywhere. Not having a degree these days, I find, especially in our field that we're in, it doesn't really impact you. As long as your workplace is okay with it and they know that, um, honestly, experience I find trumps schooling in this type of scenario. And experience could be your home lab experience. It doesn't have to be experience at a workplace. If you have a portfolio that shows that you're able uh, to perform, I mean, I don't see why a place wouldn't hire someone. Um, that's my like theory on it, anyways. I mean, it really depends on the workplace that you have. So we added all these columns here. So let's just paste in the proper titles in the spots here. And this is going to give me all the details on our user here. So let's do data. Let's make that user details. do show pagination. Erase all of this. And then all we need to do really is that. Um, here. So I think it would be event data username still. Oh, no, it actually will be dot spam account name, 2 C's. And now we just need to update details. Don't have to put any data in here yet. Well, I mean, I guess we could. User details. Data. User details. And we just need to update our API route that we're using. So let's do the get user here. Perfect. And let's see if this actually works here. Let's save. Let's do our employee 2. That does not work. That does not work. Okay. Let's see why that does not work. Oh, do info here. That might actually be why. Still getting an error here. Table. So I wonder if they have an example here of a selection. Selection, perfect. Event data. Okay, so let's just do that, I guess, for now. And let's see what that gives us. Oh, that is why. There you go. A little bit of a typo there. Well, not really a typo, I just forgot to change it. Let's see if that works. Sometimes that's usually the mistakes. There you go. We can select employee 1. There's all the info now. If we do test here, select that. There we are. Now, for some reason, this stuff isn't showing up. We'll have to figure out why that's not showing up here. Do you have plans to dedicate full time on video and courses? We lack content for people straight to the point as you do. So right now, I don't have any plans to dedicate full time on video courses. Unfortunately, like the YouTube monetization on my channel doesn't let me do that yet. We're actually far away from that at this point currently. But I'm hoping with time going on, the more subscribers that I get doing these live streams, maybe one day. I mean, I know, like I said before, I didn't even think we were going to get to 100 subscribers, and we're almost at 10,000. So it's definitely possible. So I'm quite excited to see where we go from here. Let's see why it's not. So this isn't. It's showing me the employee ID. It's showing me, but it's not showing me the enabled. I wonder if that's going to be more in our API route. We need to change some. Let's refresh here. I know that it has a search switch, but I want to limit how many users pop up. I don't want to load the entire AD into this first table, although that like is an option. Our API route is more just to like limit the searching for this one. And then you can pop it in and then it pops up down here. This was more of just a decision, just to limit the amount of results that we get back, just to not have to load in hundreds or thousands of users from AD. More just a time saving more than anything, depending on the size of your environment. If your environment is small, you definitely do not need the search box. You can just create an API route, get all your users, and then use that search statement for sure. We can even do that afterwards, kind of build out 2 of them. This way you guys can have like the 2 different situations. But for some reason that is not going the way that I would want to go. So let's just do get user. Let's say to string here. I think that that's going to be the main issue. Save. Employee. Yeah, there you go. Now we actually get our enabled, password expired, and locked out values. Yeah, no worries. That it's a very, very valid statement. Because I did see that. Just so you guys, in case you guys are wondering what ZX48K is talking about, is if we go into our dashboard here and we go into our edit details, we go into our page. In the table, I mean, you can even do this because maybe your search will come up with a lot of results. Is in here you can actually have a show search, which we discovered a little bit earlier. If we do save here, you can actually search. So if you did like, let's say you did a search for employee or just employee, and you have, let's say you have a bunch of different results in here, I can actually just put 2, or actually because it's all one word, if we did, I wonder if the search we need to specify. I wonder if we need to specify the column that it searches on. Let's search here. Okay, so yeah, so if you did want to include it in the search, what you could do is once you have this show search, you can even say include in search. You can actually put as many of these as you want, which I would honestly recommend putting all of them. Saving that, and we can actually refresh this here. And if we search for employee again, and we did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there you go. We just did 2. Because there is a 2 in the employee ID and there is a 2 here, kind of get both. If we just do employee 2, we get that. If we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we get that as well. But what we can do is after a while too, probably next week, we can actually create a bunch more users with like actual names, which will just help us be able to see a lot more. But at least we have the ability to select our employee here. We get a bunch more information here, which will have all of these. So now let's go ahead and let's do let's go ahead and do we need to do one more table, which will show us the users groups, because that is our other API route that we have, which is right here, which will get us all the groups for that user. And that will actually probably be the last thing that we do today. But that means we have already started. So we finished all the routes today. And we've actually managed to successfully start our application in PowerShell Universal, which honestly, if you were going to ask me about an hour and a half ago, if we were going to succeed with that application, I was almost on the brink of saying, let's just use Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio, design our GUI and do it that way. But I'm glad that we didn't give up because we were actually able to figure it out. So that is awesome. So let's go ahead and let's show it up another table here with all of our groups. So we have our info here. So basically all we're going to be doing is doing a user groups here. Invoking, making sure that we change this. That's what we didn't do last time. It gave us a little trouble. I was just watching the video where you announced you were doing lives, and bam, here you are live. Yeah, so we are live every Saturday. So it's going to be every Saturday. We're going to be going live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that would be like the Toronto or New York City time zone. I find like that's usually when a lot of you guys are online and watching the videos. So that's the time that I kind of picked. For now, they're going to be about 2 to 2.5 hours in length. They might get longer as time goes on, depending on what you guys kind of want. It seems like we're getting a lot more active within like the last two live streams. The first live stream was just like a very relaxing live stream where we played games. And a lot of people requested these tech or programming live streams. So here we are. We're just going to be coding in these live streams. There might be the odd gaming live stream, maybe on like holidays or like long weekends or something. Maybe have some fun with viewers. Maybe play some community games or something. But if you guys would rather code on those weekends, I am all here for it. So we can definitely do a bunch of stuff. So let's do another set UD element, and we're going to show this as groups, and we're going to change this to user groups. And then all we need to do is create a whole other table once again. And change this to user groups here. And what did I named this one groups. And then the columns are going to be these here. Let's copy that over here. Name's already done, so group category, scope, and description. Okay, perfect. So that's done. All right, so I think that actually that should work. So let's go ahead and let's refresh here. So let's look up our employee. So we have our two employees that are going to come up here. Let's look at test employee 2. So we get all the groups that it's a part of. We get the details of the info. It's a little bit confusing to know what you're looking at right now because we don't have any type of like separation. Let's see if we can add that in real quick just before we leave today. So let's do a new UD. It's not going to be a text box. New UD. There a new UD heading? Yeah, new UD heading. Content. Let's do that as group membership. And then size, we're going to put that as an H2. I'm going to guess that means H2. And let's do that. And then let's put that up here real quick. And then we're going to say details. All right, let's save that. Let's go back here. Okay, so content needs to be a script block. Okay. Is there like a text or something in here? No. Okay, so let's put it in a script block, I guess. We might have to just look up how to do these real quick. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so that worked. So group membership worked. So I think I must have just had a, yeah, so that's like that. Is there a color? Yeah, color. Let's do white. Color. White. I hope that'll work. Unless it needs a hex value, in which case we'll need to put hex values. No, that's actually perfect. All right, so we actually have our user details, our group membership. So now if we look up our employee, pull that up, pick our employee 2. Takes a little bit. it loads it in. We can look at all the user details, all the group memberships. So that's actually super, super cool. We have the starting of our application. So the only thing that we really have left to do, it's not going to really look like this just yet. We're going to figure out how to make it look a little bit like this, like how to use maybe some CSS or some of the placing things to know how we can place things in our PowerShell Universal app. But we already have this in our app. We already have this in our app. We have this in our app, and we have this in our app. The only thing that we have really left to do is add a whole bunch of buttons to really do what we need it to do, which is great. So I think that that'll be amazing. I think that that will give us a lot of abilities. Yeah, so we could probably do like user details and then yeah, so that's going to be it for today. Because it's been about how long has it been since we started the stream? It's been about 2 hours. And once again, for anyone that tuned in maybe a little bit late, these videos will actually automatically be posted to my YouTube channel once we end the stream. So if you guys missed the beginning, you guys can always go back and watch the whole video where we actually finished up our routes. You can also go watch the video from last Saturday. That's also on the channel as well. And we'll be live again next Saturday, same time, same place at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to try to finish this application, kind of finish the design, adding those buttons in, and really just making this really the end product that we wanted to do with PowerShell Universal. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this live stream. I hope to see you guys again on the next one. I really appreciate all the feedback, all the help as well. I mean, this is a learning experience together with PowerShell Universal. So I enjoy you guys spending your Saturday with me learning this, and make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and also if you haven't hit that yet, hit that little notification bell, and that will actually notify you the next time I go live. So if you don't really know the time zone conversion, and you have your cell phone on you or you're on YouTube, you'll get that notification that I'm going live. I usually always have a little starting soon page for a few minutes just to let people come in, and then I start the live stream. So thank you guys again. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys on the next live stream. Thank you guys again.